Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk about a question, which is how do I prevent someone from continuing to self-sabotage? So for some context, here's the background for the situation. One of my friends exhibits a certain type of behavior where she can be rude or cause unnecessary drama in social situations. It's not like a consistent week-to-week thing, but it'll pop up every month or so. I've been one of her best friends since we were in elementary school, so I'll always have her back, but it's now getting to the point where it's hard to defend her in certain situations where she loses her cool, and I'm having to tell people behind her back that they're not in the wrong. And in general, it's just becoming tougher to associate with her all the time. Do you have any pieces of advice? So the first thing that I would say is to have an honest and frank conversation with her. And talk about how you feel, this behavior where you get into arguments with people and there becomes drama. This is becoming a repeat behavior, and you can name the couple examples or situations, and you can talk to her about, I'm worried about, your behavior and then the ramifications of your behavior. I think when you bring that up, I think your friend will instantly go into defensive mode about each situation and defending her actions based on each situation. I think the main thing here is not to get into a debate on the specifics of each situations and hash those out, but to say, in general, even if it wasn't quote unquote all your fault, for say getting mad at someone for something, you had some role in X number of situations that you list. And to me, the latter part of it being harder to defend her and all that stuff, I think that's definitely stuff that you need to tell her, because not that friends are always friends' behaviors are always a reflection of us as individuals, but there is a certain amount of you associate with this individual, and so it says something about your character. And I would say to her, like, I appreciate loyalty and I'll always love you, but it's beginning to become harder to always defend you in certain situations. And I would name those situations that you're referring to. The second thing I'll say, and it's really tough, you need to have empathy in the sense that there's a certain amount that people who self-sabotage, they can't see that their behavior of what they're doing is self-sabotaging behavior. For example, I don't know all the details of your situation with your friend, but your friend might say, okay, certain friendships are stopping as a result of the behavior, but what's the big deal? Like, what's the ramification of those, that happens in life, and as long as I have my best friends, I'm good, and I think that's where you have to, really challenge her on that assumption in terms of, if you continue to have situations or friends where you have to cut them off or they cut you off, at a certain point, you won't have any friends anymore. Or, I think you may want to get to the point where you say, I may not continue our friendship, And this sort of goes into my third point, which is to say, I think it's important to tie the different behavior, or the behavior that you want them to exude, to a cause or a person. This was obviously not the situation with your friend, but I think, for a lot of people, for example, when they're, maybe trying to stop drinking or stop smoking, they'll often, when presented with a drink or, smoking, one of the ways they resist those temptations is thinking about, another person that they love, like a daughter or a son that they have, or a significant other, or, the cause of just bettering themselves, right? There's a deeper purpose to which they're deciding not to exude that self-sabotaging behavior. And so I really think maybe, your friend needs to start thinking about your friendship or the other friends in your friend group, and when she's thinking about whether or not to get into what you characterize as unnecessary drama or an argument or raising her voice, all those things, she thinks about, hey, if I repeat myself, I might lose my best friends. I will also say, this again goes to the empathy part, and it's again hard as a third person to understand why an individual does this, but certain people can't avoid self-sabotaging behavior. And it's extremely hard for me to say that because I try to stay positive. I believe, that people can improve on their behavior. But I think for a certain realm of people, because they won't self-acknowledge the detrimental behavior, and or they're not willing to put in work, to work on the issues that, are causing that, right? If your friend has an anger management issue, there are deeper things going on behind the scenes sometimes that are causing that behavior. And, if, those things don't happen, if self-acknowledgement never happens, or they don't put in any work to change the behavior, they're never going to stop the self-sabotaging behavior. And like I said before, and I've alluded to, the thing is really, until the consequences become really significant, the behavior will continue, right? You always see it in the movies, for, a wife trying to get her husband to stop drinking and, stuff like that. She may have to threaten divorce or leaving, and bringing the children with her, and it's only then that maybe the father reflects on his behavior. For your friend, especially because it sounds like maybe some of her close friends have, like you, have continued to look the other way out of loyalty for, being friends for so long, since elementary school or whatever, it will probably continue. And I think the only time that she might reflect on her behavior is if you say, if your behavior doesn't change, I and others might not continue to be your friend. And that might be enough of a consequence which causes a shift in behavior. But otherwise, if you and your friends continue to look the other way and stay, remain friends with her, her self-sabotaging behavior doesn't really have any real consequences since she's not losing her best friends. I think going back to the original point of, certain people can't avoid this type of behavior, people show up as, the lived experiences that they've had, right? And the life circumstances. And so in these types of situations, I think certain people just can't get out of the cycle of it, right? Your friend may have grown up in a family environment that was extremely drama filled and, had high tension situations every month or so. And when that's been the experience for whatever, 18, 20, 25, if you're talking about older family members, 30, 40, 50 years, and that's the way life's always been, that's the way she's going to continue to act. And so subconsciously, she's not able to live in a way where it's good, where you can go 2, 3, 4, 5 months without some drama, or even a year without some drama. And so subconsciously, she's always looking for red flags in her social interactions, and and the way people are talking to her, or the way someone behaves with her, and that might be causing the unnecessary arguments or dramas. And again, that goes into maybe a much deeper conversation than the level of friendship, and that might require a trained psychologist to really dive into, what's gone on in her past, and, being able to let her know she needs to allow her brain to say being good is okay, and she doesn't always need to look for red flags in situations, and she doesn't need to always think about drama, that she can come calm and level-headed to social situations without always looking for an angle. So these are kind of my 4 or 5 thoughts and pieces of advice on this question. I hope it's been helpful, and if you have any comments, feel free to reach them, or feel free to leave them. And any follow-ups, just message me, and I'm happy to make a follow-up video. Thanks, guys. Hope you're well.